U.S. prepares to incapacitate Kim USS Carl Vinson carrying huge fleet of fighter jets arrives in South Korea as military sources reveal plan to remove Jong-un's war chiefs. A growing U.S. presence off the Korean peninsula is reportedly part of a plan aimed at incapacitating Kim Jong-un's despotic regime in Pyongyang should conflict break out. A nuclear-powered U.S. aircraft carrier arrived in South Korea on Wednesday for joint military exercises in the latest show of force against the North. The USS Carl Vinson arrived at the southern port of Pusan as U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson began a tour of the region, where tensions have escalated in recent weeks with missile launches from the nuclear-armed North and the assassination of Kim Jong-un's estranged half-brother in Malaysia. More than 80 aircraft, including the fighter aircraft F-A-18F Super Hornet, the E-2C Hawkeye and the carrier-based EA-18G Growler are on board the supercarrier. South Korea's Yonhap news agency claims the heightened military presence is part of a plan to decapitate North Korean leadership. They claim a military official, who wished to remain anonymous, told them, a bigger number of and more diverse U.S. Special Operation Forces will take part in this year's faux legal and key resolve exercises to practice missions to infiltrate into the North, remove the North's war command and demolition of its key military facilities. The aircraft carrier and the U.S. destroyer will conduct naval drills including an anti-submarine maneuver with South Koreans in waters off the Korean peninsula as part of the annual faux legal exercise. Washington insists they are purely defensive in nature. Rear Admiral James Kilby, commander of USS Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group 1, said, "The importance of the exercise is to continue to build our alliance and our relationship and strengthen that working relationship between our ships." Yonhap news agency said the Navy drills will begin next week. The U.S. has also started to deploy Gray Eagle attack drones to South Korea, a military spokesman revealed on Monday. South Korean and U.S. troops began the large-scale joint drills on March 1. The exercise last year involved about 17,000 American troops and more than 300,000 South Koreans. This year's exercise is expected to be of a similar scale. E-2C Hawkeye. Built by Northrop Grumman. First flown, 1960. Used by U.S. Navy, Republic of China, Taiwan, Air Force. Cost per plane, $176 million, 143 million pounds. Maximum takeoff weight, 57,500 pounds, 26,083 kilograms. Speed, 402 miles per hour, 648 kilometers per hour. Armaments, none. The spike in tensions has concerned Beijing, with China's foreign ministry calling on all sides to end a vicious cycle that could spiral out of control. North Korea, which has alarmed its neighbors with 2 nuclear tests and a string of missile launches since last year, said the arrival of the U.S. strike group was part of a reckless scheme to attack it. The North Korea's state KCNA news agency said, if they infringe on the DPRK sovereignty and dignity even a bit, its army will launch merciless ultra-precision strikes from ground, air, sea and underwater. On March 11 alone, many enemy carrier-based aircraft flew along a course near territorial air and waters of the DPRK to stage drills of dropping bombs and making surprise attacks on the ground targets of its army, KCNA said. Last week, North Korea fired 4 ballistic missiles into the sea off Japan in response to annual U.S.-South Korea military drills, which the North sees as preparation for war. The murder in Malaysia last month of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's estranged half-brother has added to the sense of urgency to efforts to get a grip on North Korea. EA-18G Growler. Built by Boeing. First flown, 2006. Used by U.S. Navy, Royal Australian Air Force. Cost per plane, $68 million, 55 million pounds. Maximum takeoff weight, 66,000 pounds, 29,937 kilograms. Speed, Mach 1.8, 1,370 miles per hour. Armaments, AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles for self-protection, air-to-air, and AGM-88 HARM air-to-surface missiles. Visiting the headquarters of an army unit early this month, Kim praised his troops for their vigilance against the U.S. and South Korean enemy forces that are making frantic efforts for invasion, according to the North's official KCNA news agency. Kim also ordered the troops to set up thorough countermeasures of a merciless strike against the enemy's sudden air assault, it said. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is due to make his first visit to South Korea on Friday. The threat represented by North Korea's growing nuclear and missile arsenal is the main reason for his trip to the region. Tillerson arrives in Tokyo on Wednesday, moves on Friday to Seoul, which is in the grip of a political crisis, and then travels the next day to Beijing to hold talks with President Xi Jinping and other officials. Last week, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations said President Donald Trump's administration was re-evaluating its North Korea strategy and all options are on the table. The aircraft carrier, commissioned in 1982, is the centerpiece of the 7,500 sailor strike group. The 100,000-ton ship measures 333 meters in length and 77 meters in width. The Carl Vinson has been involved in a number of notable events including Operation Iraqi Freedom. The ship also received huge attention in 2011 when the body of Osama bin Laden was buried at sea from its deck. More than 80 aircraft, including the fighter aircraft F-A-18F Super Hornet, the E-2C Hawkeye and the carrier-based EA-18G Growler are on board the supercarrier. The F-A-18E/F Super Hornet is the U.S. Navy's primary strike and air superiority aircraft. The E-2C Hawkeye is the U.S. Navy's primary carrier-based airborne early warning and command and control aircraft. The EA-18G Growler is the U.S. Navy's newest electronic attack aircraft intended to replace aging EA-6 Speed Prowlers in the service's fleet. As part of his plans to bolster the military, President Trump has vowed to expand the number of carriers the U.S. fields from 10 to 12. And he promised to bring down the cost of building 3 supercarriers, which has ballooned by a third over the last decade from $27 to $36 billion.